Okay. All right. Let's start with whatever questions you guys have.
All right. So we have. Let me start by explaining what where we're trying to go with this.
Sure.
We have general capabilities. Is it Christy? Is that your assistant?
Christy Jackson's actually one of the case managers. We have two divisions here. We have a division that helps people actually work on bids and provides proposal writing and training and helps them use the system. And then we've got a division that processes paperwork and red tape, and that's Christy works for that division over there.
All right. Did Christy give you any heads up on us or not?
Not really. She just asked me to reach out to you, see what I can do to help you guys.
All right. So Pam and I have been in business together since 1987. And we took over my family business that was started in 72.
Okay.
And basically what we've done for 30 whatever years has been to in design, development, contract manufacturing of various types of products, a very wide variety of products. It could be anything from stainless steel water heaters for yachts to promotional products for Kellogg's.
Okay.
And we got very heavy into promotional products in the mid 80s, and Kellogg's and Coca-Cola and Shell and Valvoline and Microsoft and Nabisco and all these different Fortune 500 companies were clients at one time or another. Coca-Cola has been a client since 1984 and still is a client today.
Nice.
And we do a lot of their sideline hydration gear for their Powerade division, which you'll see on anything from the professional teams to the collegiate teams, the NCAA. You'll see them at World Cup events, FIFA events, Olympics, and we contract manufacture and ship all over the world. This past year, we shipped out to France some products for FIFA, to Russia in St. Petersburg for their their European Cup program that they do every year. We're doing the Olympics in Seoul, in South Korea coming up, and World Cup in Russia next year.
Wow.
So we have
impressive.
expertise in contract manufacturing, which we don't actually touch the injection molding machines or any of the products. It's all subcontracted.
Right.
So we're basically project managers, and I guess in your world you might call us brokers.
Right.
But we also do the designing. We get intensely involved in the design and engineering of products. In some cases, like what we've done for Powerade, we designed them back in the 90s. They've not changed it, so it's just been passing paper back and forth for several decades.
Okay.
And it's that's the easy business for us. But the hard part is the logistics. These guys will wait to the absolute last minute to give us the artwork, and then we have to pull miracles out of our hat to figure out a way to get it down to Brazil for the Rio Olympics.
Right.
And so that kind of in a nutshell is why these big corporations. I remember a VP at Shell Oil used to say, when I said, why do you work with us? We're a very tiny company. And he'd say, because I pick up the phone and I get you, and you solve the problems, and I don't have to worry about, some 27-year-old kid right out of college screwing up my orders.
Right.
Because most of these guys, they don't want egg on their face. They don't want to lose their jobs. And so that's what we've been to these guys. So it's been a very, very broad amount of products in lots of different categories. We've also been involved with creating our own product lines, setting up sales organizations for different clients, doing marketing, doing event marketing. And we've got certain products like the Powerade products that if you went to teamsafegear.com, you would see an e-commerce site that we own that is basically taking the same items, sport bottle carriers, stainless steel hydration carts that we've done for Powerade, and we're now doing those for youth athletics. So it could be a high school or college or Pop Warner League. Or last year, which is why we're on the phone, we got a request from I guess you'd call them a prime, a contractor. We had two bidders actually asking us to quote customized sport bottles and carriers for the National Guard in South Dakota.
Okay.
So we won the bid as a subcontractor with a disabled group out of South Dakota at that business. We're trying to encourage them to go after more business, but they are very much involved in the oil business up there. So we decided to go after it ourselves, and that's kind of led us to how we got to your desk. We were actually dealing with somebody in a National Guard office down in Arlington that then was giving us some introductions to some buyers, some people that deal with SBA and specifically for National Guard stuff. But he said you're gonna have to register before you do that. So that's how we got involved in the whole registration. And so now we're interested in taking certain lines of items, such as we have with this custom hydration gear, which we can see could be very advantageous for, let's say, National Guard recruiting programs and trade shows, which we know is what these, the order we got last year was used for. It could be also used for, for their bases and such, but we know specifically that those things were used for recruiting by going to high schools and handing out sport bottles and having a presence at the high school when they're going and doing recruiting.
Right.
We also have a line of high-end dog training product that are made here in the United States that are used by police and S.A.R. and that might also be functional for government or military.
Okay.
We don't have NCIS. I keep screwing up this. NCAIS numbers on those. NAICS numbers yet on those, but what we did for the primary NAICS number that we submitted for our registration was a very generic number, and the fourth, what's it? 432,990. Yeah, 432,990. Since someone had given us advice that was best suited for people who broker and general contract. Then we put in a few other codes that were specific to the hydration product. So that said, we're interested, and we understand from a good friend of ours who started a couple of years back, and now he's doing a couple of $1 million a year in contracts with the government, and encouraged us to follow this path. We understand it's building blocks. We might be able to use the first thing we did for the South Dakota National Guard and get our buyers to make a nice comment about what we did to start making us look good online. But we know we're going to have to do a bunch of projects and do it successfully and get some good feedback, similarly to what we have to do on Amazon.
Okay.
So that said, we got to your door kind of by mistake. I thought I was paying Sam directly for a filing fee, and it ended up being you guys walking us through the process, which is fine. And we seem to have our registration now in order. The next thing in our minds is we want to go out and start prospecting.
Sure. Okay. Couple of things. With the NAICS codes, the NAICS codes, don't worry about those, okay? NAICS codes are vague and confusing, and more often than not, purchasing agents use the wrong codes. I'm going to set you guys up. It's crazy, but they can't get in trouble for it. It's no big deal. So they do it all the time. I'll give you an example. Go to fpds, which is a system I'm going to teach you how to use for past performance. Popcorn, consumer goods rental. Yeah, probably rented a popcorn machine. That makes sense. Let's go by popcorn, commercial and institutional building construction, heavy and civil engineering construction. They use the wrong codes all the time. So what I'm going to do, one more time.
It's very confusing. I know it's really confusing, and we just to find for our stainless steel hydration cart, which is nothing but a utility cart designed specifically for housing 10-gallon coolers and 60-quart ice chests, I ended up having to talk to somebody at NAICS, and they came back. They called me back and said, "You're listed as a 333924 industrial truck, tractor, trailer, and stacker machinery manufacturing."
Yep. Like I said, don't worry about the NAICS codes. I'm going to set your searches up for the opportunities by keywords. So no matter what NAICS code they're using, there's always a keyword description. And the keyword searches, if we use multiple keywords, it'll bring you the opportunities that are a good fit, but it'll eliminate a lot of the garbage. I don't want you looking for a needle in a haystack. I want you looking every day in a little pile of needles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
How do you do that with what keyword? How do you determine what keywords are relevant or that would be, if we do a broad scope of procurement services, how do we narrow it down to a few keywords?
I use multiple keywords. So the descriptive portion of the search is going to find what you're looking for because it's specific. And I use this system called Boolean logic, where I use the keywords with certain codes that make it real specific. I'm going to teach you guys all this stuff, okay? But the bottom line is this.
When you're doing AdWords for Google type of thing?
But it's more like the U.S. Patent Office. You do a Boolean search through their Patent Office search thing. You use multiple words. Do you separate by a colon, comma, or anything?
Right, and you use different ands and ors and nots. I'm going to teach you guys all that. But the bottom line is, you're not going to be getting 40 or 50 emails a day that you got to scroll through 20 or 30 opportunities in each email to find one thing to bid on. All right? They're going to be very specific searches, so you're not wasting time. I want you investing time bidding, not wasting time looking.
Where are the searches conducted? Is this SBA? Is this?
I'm going to teach you guys all of this stuff, but not right this minute. We got a lot to cover here in the next half an hour, and that is one of the things that I am going to teach. We're going to set your searches up, and I'm going to teach you how to set them up so that as you add new searches, as you come up with new items, you'll be able to do it on your own. It's real easy. It's an FBO, and we'll probably get you set up with afpds anyway, which is a better system than FBO because it also tracks the history of the contract. So with FBO, you see the opportunity. With afpds, you see the opportunity and you see who did it last year and how much they were paid. Who did it the year before and the year before and how much they were paid. So knowing that information when you submit your bid is obviously golden information to know if your price is fair, maybe you have to increase it or decrease it.
Absolutely.
If there's 3 people that submit bids and 2 of them are at 100,000 and you're at 75, I'm going to tell you to up it to 99.
Okay.
Right? Have you guys checked? You are in a HubZone?
No, we're not.
You're not. Okay. And have you checked to see if you guys qualify for the 8A at all?
Not familiar with 8A. We are a women's business. Cam owns 51%. I don't know if we qualify as the what is it called? The disadvantage. We might.
Are either of you veterans?
No.
Are either of you minorities?
No.
Have either of you ever done a DNA test?
No.
Okay. You can do a DNA test through Ancestry.com. It takes about 6 weeks to get the results, but if you find out you're more than 1% Native American, which a lot of people are and don't know it, I may be able to get you a tribal card, which pretty much guarantees you an 8A.
I don't think there's any chance of either of us having that.
Well, you never know. I might used to sleep around a lot, so.
You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. I mean, I'm more than 1% Native American, and I found out I'm more than 2% African American. And I found out I'm
like
Irish.
2% Italian, 2% Dutch. Pretty certain.
Right.
So how do they do it? Blood test or?
No, you go to Ancestry.com and order the kit. It's $69. You spit in a vial and mail it to them.
Saliva.
Oh, that's worth knowing.
Yep. Yep, it's real simple. You do a little thing you spit in, you put it in a bag, put that in another bag, that goes in a box, that goes in a box, that goes in a box. It's self-addressed. Just drop it in the mail. Within 6 weeks, you'll have the results. If you're more than 1% Native American, I can possibly get you a tribal card, and that pretty much guarantees you the 8A. Let me show you what the 8A is so you understand. 8A is a set-aside. The government has set-asides like the woman-owned small business, the veteran-owned small business set-asides. The 8A is another set-aside. It's kind of like the disadvantage, which will benefit you, and I'm going to show you guys how to get that as well if you do qualify. Because that will help you get more state contracts and that will help you get more subcontract work. Another thing that's going to benefit you guys, you might not know, when a lot of these primes that do big contracts, they have to hire 23% small businesses to keep their contracts. If they buy if they buy their branded water bottles from you, even though that's not technically a government contract, they can still claim that because you're a government vendor. You know what I mean?
I listened to your YouTube thing when you were telling that that story about the hiring the janitor service.
Yeah, the construction guy. Prime example. He didn't know that. Most primes know it though, and they know if they buy from you and you're a registered vendor, they can write it off. So it benefits them to buy from you, even for stuff they need in house.
Okay.
Here's the thing about the 8A.
And for us, we're not currently certified WBE NC, but we were for quite a while, and it was at the request of several of our clients.
Right. So right now the ownership.
What's that?
Ownership is set up that she's 51%, you're 49%?
Yes.
Okay.
So we will probably go through that WBE process, which we understand takes about a year.
I would. I highly suggest it. It's a state certification. It's one that we can't do for you. Unfortunately, if you guys need help with it, of course I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you what to do. But if you need help with it and you want to pay someone to do it, let me know and I can refer you to someone who can do it for you. But we can't. We don't do state. We only do federal certifications.
Okay. Now we can handle it. We've done it before.
Awesome. Okay. So the 8A, all right, as a woman owns small business, you're getting 5% set aside. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a woman, you're getting 5%. As an 8A, you can also get 5%, but look at the difference in the competition. Right now, women are getting the worst end of the deal because there's actually over 70,000 women-owned small businesses right now that are active, but there's only 5,300 8As, and they're sharing the same 5% that the women are. Now, you're not going to see women-owned small business contracts put out for bid very often because there's so many women, it's easy for them to meet that criteria. You're not going to see, on the other end of the spectrum, you're not going to see 8A set-asides very often because there's so few 8As that it's a waste of their time to put it out as an 8A set-aside when hardly anybody is going to actually respond or bid on it. So on the 8A, a lot of times what they do is they'll do it as a simplified acquisition, and they'll do it as what's called a sole source or a single source, where they just call you and ask you for a quote. If your quote's fair, they hire you. There's no competition. They don't have to get a second quote. You've probably seen that video. The rule of two is no longer mandatory.
Yep.
Okay. So that's why the 8A and the hub zones are so important, because simply the lack of competition. Veterans have it best right now because there's only 40,000 veterans compared to almost 80,000 women. So that's why the 8A and the hub zone can be such an important factor. The thing is, the 8A takes a year to process. It's not a short-term solution, and you got to meet 15 core eligibility requirements. So right off the bat, if you guys are married, so if your personal net worth as a husband and wife is over $250,000, you can't qualify for the 8A.
Okay.
That doesn't include
now,
your house.
For example, things that are in trust, does that go against you?
Yes.
If you're a beneficiary of trust?
Yes. Everything that's in your personal asset. So if it's your personal asset, it has to be accounted for. Stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, motorcycles, RVs. I will have to double check and see about the trust thing. There may be a way around that. But
If you're a trustee and the beneficiary, it might, but
Right.
if you
exactly. If you're not the
if you are
beneficiary, though, that shouldn't matter.
if you are the beneficiary, but you are the trustee, and you are not the trustee, then you don't have access to the money. The trustee, at their discretion, can release the money to you.
What I'm going to need you to do is just put that in writing, email it to me, and I'll send it over to legal, and I'll get a verification on it. But I'm pretty sure that's not going to matter.
Okay.
So $250,000 personal assets, not including your house, up to $4 million in total assets, including your business assets. So if you fit those two, then we can probably get you into the program. And you haven't made more than $250,000 a year average last 3 years.
No. If we don't get, payroll, but we just get K1 distribution from the S Corp at the end of the year, and I get 51% of it, is that adequate?
I think so, because they don't like excessive withdrawals. And if you're putting most of the money back into the business, that tells the SBA that you're a secure business. The only thing we would have to do over the next 6 months or so is win as many contracts as possible to build a balanced portfolio, so that you guys have not just state and federal and prime contractors as clients, but you have some federal clients as well.
Okay.
And I hate saying this because you guys sound like a wonderful couple, and I'm sure you're not going to go out of your way to get in trouble, but stay out of trouble. I've seen it happen so many times. I had a client, she got arrested for domestic violence, and we're probably not going to be able to get her 8A now, because she's in the process of being convicted, and it's not going to work, I have another client, she won a big contract, like $14 million, and she went out and partied hard that night, got a DUI. We're probably not going to be able to get her in the program now. So, like I said, I hate to say it, but stay out of trouble.
Yeah, we tend to use Uber if we're overdoing it.
We
live in a walk around.
Nice.
We've been so far so, but you don't know. We're in our 60s now. We might have to make some trouble before it's
Yeah.
Well, it takes a year to process an 8A. It's like your WBE and the MBE. They're a long-term solution. We need to build the portfolio of clients, so we need to work over the next 6 months to win enough contracts to build that portfolio. It's not something we're going to do today, and it's not something that's going to benefit us today. So I'd rather focus on things that we can utilize immediately or within a week or two and take advantage of. And the 8A is not one. And you guys,
does the self-certified mean anything to these people?
No, not for the 8A. The 8A I'll put it to you this way. HubZone's not as difficult to process, to get into. It takes 3 to 6 months. Of course, it is hugely beneficiary to be in it because there's only 4,300 HubZones. There's even less competition than the 8A. But in the HubZone, you may be audited once a year. You may not. It's a pretty relaxed program. The 8A, you will. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You will be audited every year in the 8A program. And it's a 9-year program.
And
and same
who's
thing.
auditing?
The government. Yeah.
The IRS or
they're gonna check everything to make sure you're following the rules. But I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to know the facts. That's why the 8A is so lucrative, because there's so few people in it. Once you get on a G.S.A. schedule, same thing. You're going to be audited every year to make sure you're meeting the required criteria for G.S.A. But as long as you're not cheating and you're doing the right thing, you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
G.S.A.?
G.S.A. stands for?
G.S.A. stands for General Services Administration. I'm going to send you guys a list of my acronyms, so you won't ever have to ask what this means in the future. You'll have a full since I started here in 2009, every acronym I've ever seen is on this list in alphabetical order. And I'm going to send you guys a copy of that as well. Today's Wednesday.
Back to this audit thing, our only experience with audits has been with the IRS, and they can be $50,000 to $80,000. So we're not talking about IRS audits, are we?
They're gonna check with the IRS as far as you paid in and all that, but no, they want to know. They want to know that you're meeting the rules of the 8A program. That's all. And as long as you are, you have nothing to worry about. You can basically just
Yeah,
tell
we
your
have no
accountant.
problem following, and we just don't, we don't like paying for witch hunts that are not,
No, we have everything that's properly accounted.
Yeah, we do everything by the book.
Yeah, you're fine. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg when these audits happen. I mean, worst case scenario, you're going to have your accountant take care of it, and he's going to charge you a couple $100, you know?
Yeah, well, if it's a couple $100, that's great. The last IRS audit we had was definitely well into the thousands.
Crazy. Well, 8A and HubZone, you guys are not ready. They're long-term solutions. And G.S.A, you're not in a good position for G.S.A yet. G.S.A is most contracts that you and I are going to work on for now are going to be 5 years and under. They're going to be in the millions and the billions at the most. G.S.A contracts are up to 20 years or even over 20 years, and they can be in the trillions and in quadrillions. It's mind-boggling. But you guys aren't ready.
We don't need. Yeah, we are.
We want to retire soon. We don't want to get rid of What are you doing to me, John Wayne?
I would suggest.
Trying to get cash out here. Come on.
I would suggest once you get your 8A, maybe 2 years down the road, we'll start looking at G.S.A then.
All right. Yeah. For us.
I'll be 82 years old in 20 years.
Yeah, we're not going to be still doing business then.
Well, the beauty of it is though, once you get the 8A is a 9-year program. So once you're in it, then you get on the G.S.A schedule and then sell the business and retire.
Okay. That's fine. But in the short term, the order we had last year with the Coast Guard, the National Guard in South Dakota, it was a $15,000 order. Not huge, but we made $7,000 on it. So, I could take, I could do those all day long. That's the kind of business up to $25,000 contracts are probably easier to go grab than,
$1
trillion deals.
Right, right now, because there's so few vendors that are active, pretty much all of them are fairly easy. Even to submit bids, they're getting easier and easier.
We want the low-hanging fruit.
Sure. Well, if you look at the grand scheme of things,
project management, so we want people to do what other people don't do well.
Right. Well, that's the definition, or the difference between the definition of a business owner and an entrepreneur. A small business owner is typically owned by the business. An entrepreneur sets up companies that can basically run themselves,
Yeah.
Well,
so we've done both. Believe me, we did not like our business when we had $150,000 a month in overhead.
Oh man.
Well, it was ugly. It was not fun.
If you look at the grand scheme of things right now, in the old CCR, there was more than 500,000 small businesses. So there was a lot of competition back then. It was almost 700,000 small businesses in the old CCR that were active. This new SAM system that's mandatory that everybody's migrating into, there's 1.2 million for-profit vendors, not just small businesses, but for-profit vendors. Over 900,000 of those are inactive. So there's technically only about 340,000 active for-profit businesses in SAM right now. If you figure more than half of those are the IBMs and Raytheons of the world, so let's just guesstimate half are big and half are small, right? That leaves about 160,000 small businesses that are active in SAM, compared to when I started working here, 700,000 small businesses. So you guys have way less competition these days. And because of all the changes in the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, it's gotten a lot easier to submit bids to win these. So I want to show you that next. You said you have been watching my videos, right? So you kind of know who I am?
I've watched 2 or 3 of them, yeah.
Okay. U.S. federal...
So, we got into knowing anything about your business, so we're just, trying to get a handle on the next step to get into...
Searching for opportunities.
Yeah, searching for opportunities.
Sure, absolutely. I work for U.S. Federal Contractor Registration. I'm an employee. I don't own the business. I'm not a partner. I wished I was. We've gone from 5 employees in 2009 to 60. And out of those 160,000 small businesses that are active right now, we've done 80,000 plus SAM registration. So we're technically responsible for half the small businesses that are active in the federal system and compliant right now. So that's who we are. And then as far as me, I mean, you can look me up all day long on YouTube. I've got hundreds of videos out there. If you search government contracts, my video is number 1 out of 718,000 videos on YouTube. Mine's number 1, number 3, number 7 or 8. My YouTube channel actually comes up on the first page of YouTube under government contracts.